Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hanan Al podcast. Today's special guest is a distinguished communication strategist, storyteller, and a senior executive in the government of Dubai. She focuses on tourism and hospitality. With over 2 decades of expertise, she has shaped Dubai's global narrative through pioneering marketing campaigns, celebrity influencer engagement, and innovative social media strategies that position the city as a premier international destination. And beyond her corporate role, she is a respected columnist for Harper's Bazaar Arabia, where she writes with depth and authenticity on resilience, well-being, sustainability, family, and culture. Through both her professional impact and her personal journey of healing and growth, she exemplifies the strength and vision of modern Emirati women. Super excited to have her with us today. Aida AlBusaidy, أهلا وسهلا.
حبيبتي والله. I'm so overwhelmed with the introduction. يعني. I was just watching you as you were doing the introduction.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Aida, mashallah عليك. I've been following your work and I've known you since 11 years يمكن الحين 2015 تقريبا 2014.
صح.
Yeah. And throughout all these years, بصراحة what I respect about you is your sustained growth and your solid character. يعني I feel you have a clear value system you operate through. عرفتي ما في up and down. حتى لو في up and down, it's like you're sustained. So I'm very curious to know, what are your inner values that sustains your growth?
First, I have to thank God. I think having faith is something that a lot of people also need to start considering, right? Because it grounds who you are. And as a Muslim, I'm going to highlight the faith that obviously I'm a part of. Yani, as a Muslim, I think there's a lot of those values that really grounds you as a person, because you then start to develop that sort of network or who you want to continuously develop that faith with. The second is family, for sure. As much as we transition through life, we were speaking earlier, my eldest is about to become a teen, and it's very overwhelming for me as well. But what I realized is, as human beings, we go through so many phases in our lives, and nobody actually teaches you the values. I mean, you learn it through growth and potential. If you have a good family base coupled with a good faith base, it then teaches you how to maintain it over a period of time. So you need to stay consistent in those two things. And I know that there's a lot of external factors that might hinder you from, staying grounded on those two elements. And I think what you acquire over time is your development and how motivated you want to be, how ambitious you want to be, and how dedicated you want to be. And so that changes over time. And I think as a woman, you might agree or disagree with this. We have cycles of when you feel motivated. It's really difficult to stay motivated every single day.
Yeah.
But if you want to be the best that you can, not be the best of all times, just who you want to be in terms of yourself, those three things play a really important role, because ambition is literally setting your goals and objectives. Motivation is what motivates you to wake up every single day, or even just doing the same thing over and over again, because that develops consistency. And then, of course, dedication is you loving what you do. And for the two of us and many others as well, we've chosen comms or communications as our core passion point. And then you develop everything beyond that. So I think one is very innate and it has a lot of substance, very intangible, which is the faith. And then you have the tangible, which is the family. And then the other three, which are all intangibles, are things that you have to learn over time, whether it's through education, whether it's picking up a sport, whether it's listening to podcasts, whether it's, finding a mentor, and that changes over time. And I feel that that's how I've developed my consistency, because I maintain these 5 core elements in my life at all times.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. This was amazing, Aida. Yeah, I mean, don't you think also with continuous growth, there's this slight danger in becoming a product of achievement? Like I always have to achieve in order to feel valuable, or I'm giving in order to feel like I'm enough, rather than just being like a normal human being, just being.
It's a very hard lesson to learn, Hanan, because when you are at a pinnacle of success, you need to maintain it. And it's really difficult to just take a step back. And I agree with you. Like, I feel like I need to accomplish something every day. But the good thing is, the older you become, the more you realize that achieving something every day could be as simple as making your bed.
Okay.
It gives you a sense of achievement, right? And achievement doesn't mean like you need to have an accolade and people just sitting there and recognizing you. Like, you need to recognize that you've achieved and you've accomplished something on a daily basis, because you have long-term goals and you have short-term goals. But as if every day you're like set this goal to just saying, oh, I need to get better and better and better every day. But it then kind of disrupts what we talked about a little bit earlier on consistency, right? So if you're consistent in making your bed every day, then you've achieved making your bed every single day. It develops discipline, right? And I'm a mother of boys, so for people who might not know this, like raising boys is not the same as raising girls, and so discipline is really important in my household, you know. And it goes for everything: how you breathe, how you eat, when you eat, what time you sleep. I think one of my biggest vices, and I haven't been able to achieve this, and I think I'm I don't want to say failure, but definitely haven't achieved, is sleep quality for me is terrible. I've never been able to adjust it, and but I work towards it every single day. So every day I tell myself, okay, how do I recover against my sleep? How do I get better against my sleep? So I am really good at everything else, and then I'll have that one thing where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not good at it, but I can get better. So it's also recognizing, I guess you could say, where your success factors might lie, not necessarily where your successes should be. So I think maybe differentiating between those two, because and I also think externally people tend to label achievements and successes like you need to have a certificate for everything, or you need to have a medal for everything. Sometimes maybe just waking up every day is an achievement, you know, for some people as well. Mental health is such an important thing. Emotional health is such an important thing as well. And you define what your success and achievements are. And so you can leave the accolades for the outside world, but you as a person, what makes you who you are? And that, I think, is the most important factor that we need to consider as well.
I love that. I can totally relate to you, Aida, because I always say and tell people, you define what achievement is.
100%. Yeah. Otherwise, people will define it for you all the time, and then you live under their shadow. And I don't think I want to live under anybody's shadow. I report to one being only, and that's God. And so people should not define how you define as success, because maybe success for you is making sure that you have 2 guests, you know, per day for your podcast, but maybe for another podcaster it's 1 guest per week. And so I think achievement and success is defined very differently per person, and we shouldn't be subjected to what people think we should be as successful, because then it really puts a lot of pressure on you becoming everything to everyone all the time. And if that's the case, then you're nothing to everybody.
Wow, that is deep. Yes. And then you tend to lose yourself, because sometimes Aida, يعني, a mother can lose herself in the role of just being a mother, or a manager as just being a manager, a public figure, or a wife. Why do you think some women lose themselves in the process, and how do we maintain our true identity amidst all these roles?
I think as women, we tend to feel like we need to do it all, because we're taught that very early on. The roles are slightly changing, I have to say, but we're just born as nurturers, right? So you want to take care of everybody. You want to make sure that your household is fine. And I'll be very honest with you, and I've mentioned this before as well. You can't do it all the time. If there is no, at least to me, I can tell you, the question of balance doesn't really exist. Because today I might be more mom than I could be a manager. Tomorrow I'll be more of a manager than I'll be a friend, because you now belong to, well, at least for me, I belong to so many different facets of society. And I need to give my time, whether it's quality based or quantity based, to various different people. So some days I have more meetings and I have to work late at night, or sometimes I'll come back home and then I still have to go out in the evening. So the quality of time that I spend with my kids is less than 2 hours in a day. So does that make me a bad mother? And people tend to judge you for that. But then I could spend 8 hours with my kids, but there's no quality time spent with them as well.
Yeah.
Now that they're a little bit older, I can actually, manage that time a lot better. And we're able to spend weekends together, which is super sacred for me, and we have plans together, we develop stuff together, and they have plans, they've got friends. But yeah, no, to your point, at some point of time, or maybe multiple points of your time, you will lose who you think you are, because you become somebody's wife, somebody's employee, somebody's mother, and then who are you? And I've seen it in a few older ladies, and I looked at things that I don't want to be, and I changed my life now so that I don't become a bitter old woman.
I love that. I love that.
I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but I don't want to look back at my life and think I regretted not doing this. So if I want to go out for dinner today, I'll go out for dinner today. I don't want to look back and say, oh, I wish I went out for dinner that day, or I wish I spent more time with my friends. And, time has a way of healing itself, and time has a way of kind of like regurgitating things over and over again. And you see it through countries or through policies, and you see there's a lot of repetition, there's a lot of nostalgia, retro is coming back. So I'm like, actually, whilst you might never get that time back again, I'm like, yeah, but what if I don't get this time again? What if I don't go to that restaurant I wanted to go to? What if I don't work out today? I may never get that time again. And I'm like, it's okay, I'll make the time for something else that could be equally important. And I don't want to lose myself to anybody. I want to lose myself to me. I want to make the best version of who I can be, at least for the time that I'm alive. So
I love that. Yeah, got me thinking as well. I mean, there are so many times, Aida, where I wanted to not lose myself as well to other people and the roles I was playing, as a daughter, as a speaker, as a client, as a host, whatever. And there was this part of the guilt, right? Like if I say no to her, she's gonna feel upset. But then I felt like I was betraying myself as well. Yeah. So that's not easy. That mindset, mashallah, that you are in, that must have taken a lot of things and practicality for you to get to that conviction.
It does. Yeah. Look, and everybody has, there's a process, and you need to define it for yourself, right? But I think the building blocks that I spoke about earlier, so your faith, your family, your ambition, your dedication, your motivation. I'm going to go back to these 5 core points. When you think about it, and maybe just write it down. For some people, like for me, I love writing things down. And maybe you write it down and say, what do you not want for yourself? And reverse analyze it. That to me works a lot better, at least for myself. And I've seen it for other people too. Rather than saying, oh, I want to do that. Or I want to get there, or I want to reach that point. I always tell myself, I was like, where do I not want to be? And then I work on those success factors, because I don't want to be tired all the time, right? And I went through this phase where I was just always tired. People would say, how are you? I'm like, I'm tired. Can you imagine like speaking to someone who always says I'm tired? How negative does that sound? And I started realizing that about myself. I thought, oh, I sound like rubbish, like it feels like I'm complaining. But then I had to realize, like, why was I always tired? And it wasn't just the sleep. I wasn't taking care of myself. My health was not very good. Sad, but maybe good story. But during the height of COVID, I actually lost my appendix, but it was horrible. Like I woke up with this tragic pain. I thought I was gonna die. Like they took me to the hospital. And I, خلاص يعني قمت بالشهادة يعني I was like أشهد أن لا إله إلا I thought I was gonna die because nobody knew what was wrong with me. I was isolated and they thought I had COVID, and until the doctor came, the gastro doctor, and touched my stomach, because they do something like they touch it with like 2 fingers, And I screamed in this emergency room,
Oh my God.
isolated. And he was like, it's your appendix. That was January 14th, 2021. We'll never forget that day. Since that incident took place, I said, that's it. Something's got to give. And I changed my entire ethos on wellness, fixing myself. I had to fix my inside first, which was, fix my health. And then that helped me fix my emotional stability and my mental stability. Because you go through a lot, and during COVID, it was a difficult time for everybody, working from home, teaching from home. And I'm not cooked to be a homeschooler. I have to tell you that. My relationship with my kids was terrible during COVID. But, thank God they're back to school. I was like, yes. But it was a turning point. Yeah. And people will have turning points in their lives. It's up to you to decide, do you want to take advantage of that turning point so that you don't fall into that lull and lose who you are? Because if you haven't defined who you want to be, or at least who you don't want to be or wind up in, then it's going to be very difficult to not lose yourself to other people, to society, to depression, to negativity. Alhamdulillah, I'm generally a very positive person. Yeah. So I don't want to stay not positive for a long time. So اللي في قلبي على لساني. It might sound a bit harsh sometimes. Like maybe my kids are like, she's angry now. But I'm happy it's out of the way. And then I look back and I reflect. I'm like, actually, if this incident ever happens again, like they don't brush their teeth, for example, what is my reaction to that? Should I yell at them again? Will it change how they respond back to me? Will they brush their teeth better next time, or even brush their teeth at all? Or will they just have the same reaction and I just go back yelling again, like brush your teeth, brush your teeth? So even to the smallest things, and I'm using these small little examples like, making your bed and brushing your teeth, because these are basics, right? Yeah. So if you're able to control those, then you can control everything else. So
I love that.
Yeah. It's simple things. Wallah.
It's simple things. صح, it's simple things, but accumulated, that's when you transform.
Over time. Yeah. And it's a mindset, Hanan. كلها في مخك. Wallah. It's all, it's a mindset. Yeah.
And for us, Aida, to get to that mindset, we've been conditioned on so many negative things. That for me to get to my positive mindset as well, I had to shed so many layers of toxic patterns and, toxic conditioning. So I'm curious to know, was there a limiting belief you had to get over or release in order for you to get to that winning mindset?
Just making everybody happy all the time.
I hear a lot. I hear the same thing from so many women.
I know. It's, by the way, I don't know what it is. And then I reached a point, I thought, oh, well, if I'm sitting and making everybody else happy, but I'm so unhappy, then what's the point of it all? And look, learning how to say no, I think you need to earn the right amount of wisdom and time to be able to say no. I'm not saying you have to reach a certain age. I'm saying once you know better, then you can start controlling the narrative. So
tell me more.
Well, what's the most valuable thing you have right now? Let me ask you a question. Time. Okay. So if my time does not allow me to go to a wedding, do you know how much time it takes to go to a wedding, Hanan?
Yeah. The salon and the getting ready and if you have a dress.
Right? It's time and money and effort for like a 2-hour shenanigan of the daughter of the cousin of the neighbor.
Well, I wish that's the case. People don't have weddings anymore.
Yeah, well,
I miss being invited to weddings, صراحة. But yeah, I get you.
Your wedding, inshallah. Your wedding. But I then you just segment it. Like, is this important for me? And I get it. Like, we're both public figures, and people do invite us. But I'm like, is it adding value to me? The minute I start questioning, is it adding value? It's an automatic no. Because I'm just trying to justify why I need to be there or why I need to do this. But if it's adding value to me, in the case of, it's my body is better, I'm in the gym, I don't ask why, or do I, or should I? So I think learning how to say no is something that you learn over time. And who and how to say no to. Because you can say no to everybody.
Yeah.
It's also very difficult to say no to family members.
Yes.
But it's doable.
Yeah,
It's doable. And over time, people then start respecting that your time is the most valuable thing. And how you make time for them is also very valuable too. So I tested the theory. Sometimes it backfires. I'll be very realistic with you. At the end of the day, we're human beings. We get emotional. Maybe today you're in a bad mood. Maybe somebody cut you off on the street, so you don't know how people are going to react to it, but you have to be able to read the room as well. And it's a learning curve at the end of the day. I'm not the best of who I can possibly be as of today. Maybe if you ask me this question, I don't know, 5 months later or 5 years later, I could maybe answer the same way and tell you I'm still haven't reached the best of my own peak. So we're human beings at the end of the day, So nobody is born perfect. No. We believe that. That's the faith. And so you work towards always self-improving yourself, and look for areas where you can say, actually, I can do better in this area. And I think as a human being, I want to do better. I want to be a better person for myself. I want to be a better person for those people around me. And I want people around me to be better people. I want them to be the best versions of themselves. So that's my takeaway. I always tell people, we talked about achievements and accolades earlier. I don't know how many events I've been a part of. I don't know. I don't know how many celebrities I've worked. I can't remember. Like, there's so many. But if you ask me, how many people have you made better in your life? I can tell you. And I can tell you how. I can mention the incidents. Because one day when we're gone, this is what's going to stay.
Yes.
الناس بيذكرونك بالخير. They will pray for you.
Yes.
And this is what matters.
Your
no
impact.
One's going to remember all of the accolades that are hanging inside my room. They're not going to remember that. You're going to remember because you're like, oh, it's a lot of work. I put 10 hours into that proposal. But people will remember you. So I don't want to just be a better person for myself. I want to make other people better too.
I love that, Aida. This was amazing. Yes, I mean, impact. People will remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
And by the way, this was one of my motivations to actually start saying no with discernment, the same way that you said, knowing when to say no, how to say no, and how often and to whom.
Yeah.
And it is a work in progress also to me.
صح.
But it's good to have that awareness in I'm always becoming better. كل يوم I become more assertive, which is
صح.
good for a kind person like you and me. خصوصا with family members.
صعب.
بس صعب هو والله. بس أنا سويت اللي أنتي قلتي صح when you put all the 5 pillars that you talked about and see what you don't want to happen
صح.
instead of what you want. And for me, the cost of not saying no was actually my mental health. That was my mental health. That was my trigger. That led to burnout because when you say yes to everybody else, there's no space for you. Your cup is full with people's issues and demands and expectations. فأنا I want to fill my own cup as well.
100%.
Yeah.
And look for people. I think also surround yourself with like-minded people who have similar values as well. Lena, you're all working towards the same path because there will be people that will drain you and there will be people that will feed you. And so, once you realize the difference between the drainers and the feeders, you're like, okay, drainer, you can hang out with similar people. Just let me be. And not to sound very, I don't know if this is a Gen Z thing right now, but I actually have JOMO now. Like, I have joy of missing out. I'm like, oh, there was a thing, whatever it was an event. How many people were crammed up in that room? It was crowded. Thank God I wasn't there. I have now found so much peace in just not being in a place. Like, I'm like, I want to just leave. I want to go home. I want to find my space. So it's your time, it's your space, it's your energy. There's a lot of, I guess you could say, physical, emotional connections that happen, but I think this realization comes once you're comfortable with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to find peace with yourself. And that's why the faith part is really important. لأن you find peace in just being alone, because faith is not necessarily a collective thing. It's just you.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that just making sure that I ground myself, and it stems from it. I'm not saying everything is linked to religion, but it stems from it. And finding peace with yourself really is just like, I talk to myself all the time.
Me
like
too.
even when I'm driving, I'm like,
Yeah.
what would I
No,
say?
I think that's healthy. I think that's very healthy.
I may look crazy to the other person driving, but I'm like, talk to myself.
Why, Daddy?
like sometimes I'm watching TV, I'm like, what if I was that character in that television? And I'll make up like a story. But it really kind of helps me like think about like a scenario, like out of body experience, like how would somebody else consider me? Like how do people even view me? And not that it really matters like what people think of me all the time, because not everyone is going to say nice things about you all the time, right? People will like you, will hate you, will find you annoying or whatever. But I also think like, if I was in somebody else's shoes, and I was looking at myself, would I like me?
I love that. And then what happened?
I think I'm a likable person.
You are. You are. You have this calming energy around you.
Yeah. Some people are like, she's assertive.
But by the way, notice who tells you you're assertive. Because I was judged as well.
Yeah.
When I started stepping out of that, people-pleasing mode.
Yes.
So when I started stepping out, Aida, of that people-pleasing mode, the only people who were judging me were the people who were benefiting from me not having boundaries.
That's strong. You're right.
That's why I don't care. When they say you're assertive now, now you know what to want. Hanan الحين مثلا she doesn't want to go. Now she has time. Now she has boundaries. I'm like, okay, that means I'm winning.
Yeah,
you're winning.
You're winning in life. Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad that we live in a time and age and in a country that allows you to really kind of explore those energies. You know what I mean? And I feel like when you have that space to become as much as you can. Because here it's really interesting. Like we talked about this before, and I met up with a few ladies at a few events, and I said, I don't think I actually know what struggle is if you think about it in that perspective. لأن when you read books or when you see these movies, I think this is not to belittle like what a struggle might potentially be. بس احنا as women in this part of the world, I think our struggles are very سطحي. يعني they're not يعني a lot of it is very much linked with like emotional capacity rather than like physical capacity. Because if you say today, I want to be the next minister, it's possible. It's possible. We've never had that, like had to overcome something. I think a lot of that overcoming is your own overcoming.
The inner conflict.
The inner conflict. Yes. Yeah. The inner conflict and, the bickering and,
it can get dark sometimes.
It can get.
It
can get. And so how do you step out of that zone? You know what I mean? How do you become better? How do you exuberate like all of what you can potentially be? So I look at those things. And I want to continue, inshallah, being that person. Yeah.
I love that. For anyone listening, Aida, who is going through that dark phase, who's going through that inner conflict, what do you have to say about that? How can they step out of it on a practical level?
I believe in the trifactor of everything. You being the core. I think you first need to identify what is that inner conflict and write it down. Speak it out loud. Like say it. حتى يعني في الدعاء. يعني when you pray, you say it out loud. When you say the problem, if you think you know what the issue is or the conflict is, it's 50% of the problem. It's recognizing that you have an issue or you have a conflict. Number 2, find your people. That could be family, could be friends, could be coworkers, whatever it is. And number 3, find something that you're good at. Not your job. Find something that you're good at. And then develop it. لأن it gives you joy. Your job pays your bills. But your passion gives you joy.
True.
And so, but they need to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can't do everything by yourself. You can't solve your inner conflict by yourself and just say, okay, I can do it by myself. No, nobody can do anything by themselves. It's hard.
Yeah. And we're dependent. We're social creatures.
We are social
dependent
creatures.
On other people.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's healthy.
Yeah, it is.
The moment 100%. You feel like I can do it on myself, this is actually a trauma response.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
I love
you back
that.
away from things. Yeah.
True. Aida, this was amazing.
I know. We should make it longer. Part 2.
Talk about شوية relationships, شوية about darkness, deeper stuff. This wallah, thank you so much. How can people reach you?
I want to say I'm accessible, but I'm not. Look, when people genuinely do reach out to me, I do respond to people. Mm-hmm. I think when there have been cases where people will just try to say, oh, can you help me with this? Mm-hmm. But they actually haven't done anything on their own.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like, okay, I can be there to kind of assist you because I'm not a psychologist or a life coach. I can tell you what has worked for me, and maybe parts of it might be useful for you as well. But I'm on every social media platform, so
I love that.
You can say hello.
I love that. And by the way, you don't have to be a psychologist or a life coach for you to give advice to people. This is from my point of view.
Yeah.
You can have so much experience and depth, and you've been through that. So it's not just theory. And going back to impact, one word, one advice can truly transform someone's life.
I agree.
Yeah, let's never underestimate, our
I took
own
it
experience.
too far with the life coach thing.
لا بس لا حبيته. I love your authenticity anyway. عب قلبك على لسانك. I love that. Allah, you're amazing, Aida. Habibti, wallah. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, it's such a pleasure.
Habibti, my pleasure.